Hi, my name is Rocco and welcome to this channel, Esoteric Services, and this is my new video because there is going on a lot of people speaking and considering truths and ideas about Jesus, about the New Age, and about what is right and not right to do. So my considerations after a lot of theories that are now called New Age have been brought to the light for what they are. And what they are is that they are intrinsically good, but perhaps people don't know how to use them. And I'm hearing a lot of people that have names like Stephen, Bancarz, or Melissa, Dougherty, Irish, and people that are speaking about what is their viewpoint of Jesus and what is their viewpoint of spirituality and what is their viewpoint of the absolute and what is their viewpoint of God. Here we don't need a viewpoint only, but we need truth. So we are broadcasting here from Rome, Italy, and it's almost dawn. So what is esoteric and what is non-esoteric, and why do certain people, especially after certain other people renounced the esoteric for they discovered that it was forbidden, and why is it not forbidden, and what can you do about it? Now my point today is to give a sermon that is about magic in general and spirituality, because I found, with the sole exception of Lucy Cavendish, there aren't, compared to 3 to 4 years ago, as many people as there used to be who give reassuring messages or speak about angels, or for that matter even Jesus. And a lot of people changed, and a lot of people seem to have withdrawn from their path, and they seem to have their daily life as a spectrum of reality, and they seem to have emotion as a spectrum of fidelity to the Lord, and they seem to have put their instability and crushing their dreams, abandoning all animals, and people see Jesus in churches and things unfathomable that never seen before. And therefore, now that we're getting closer to the new age, because really from here to eternity, from here to judgment day, is just going to be a straight line. Now and not back then, it's due time, and this is why people aren't talking about it. It's due time to speak about the end of times, and why it's so important that we take refuge in ourselves and our certainty, and especially our loneliness. Because most people these days, as Jesus foretold, are not at unison with God. And by not being at unison with God, they do not know much about themselves either. Because being created in His image means that not that we look like Him, perhaps, but also because He could have created a race of, I don't know, horses, or a race of beings different. But He created a race of humans, and amongst these humans, there used to be the people that I mentioned, and also others. So and now it doesn't seem any longer legitimate to speak about angels and to speak about magic. It's a topic that I'm not seeing in many religions covered in sufficient depth. Whereas this is even a daily part of a Jew, or even a person who believes in such things, that cannot see him, or perhaps that do see him or her, but decide to let go. So I'm thinking that a lot of these people who are claiming that I've heard recently that on the same grounds that people cannot pray to angels, then perhaps people cannot pray to Mary, and people should only refer to God, meaning the God guy, to that only person, divine being, that is God. But they are not speaking honestly. So there's a lot of confusion on spiritual matters these days, and people are very envious of other people, and definitely the age of Kali, the Kali Yuga is here, and not only it is here, but it's also very active since time. It means that age where people are superficial, and people only base their spirit on outer recognition of obeisance to rules that they have interpreted in a certain way, speaking from the only book that one can read. But this is not a book to be read by heart, or it's not a book to be read individually. It's a book to be read in a place that's sacred, and from a person that has made certain choices. Now, it seems that everyone who turns their back on angels, or certain things that are intuition, then gets a reward. We should make a point that the moon, which is in all times the goddess or the angel or the planet, or if you will, the energy that you connect to religion and magic. The moon isn't connected to only the visible. The moon is connected to, and the moon is a planet that God created in the universe that has an impact on us. And we know we shouldn't leave it all to Jesus, and we shouldn't leave it all to God. We should be responsible for our own actions and what we say and what we believe in and what we do, and especially what we appreciate in life. And those people who claim to stick up for Jesus and they do not have a sincere appreciation of words of their own, then were never taught magic. So what is magic, and how come magic isn't a distinction in nowadays society like it used to be in the past, where in pagan societies and in ancient Israel, rather than in old temples or in old abbeys, perhaps alchemy or magic were practiced and believed in. So how come does the Bible need an interpretation when the Bible condemns occult practices that are not in the light? And what does it mean for an occult practice to be in the light? And what does it mean for an occult practice to be not in the light? So the Bible speaks clearly of practices like necromancy, divination and stuff. Well, divination and other practices and things like the pentacle and other concepts like the hexagram and things like that, that even appear like the hexagram in the just painted on the flag of the state of Israel. So what do they represent, and how come are they there, and what do they stand for? So we have to say that the hexagram is a symbol for fertility, even, and a symbol for divinity, so the divinity of God. Whoever God may be, the hexagram is a symbol for all them people who decided not to give up on that God that we call Jehovah and that we call the Almighty God. So how is it that the Bible apparently bashes on some people and some practices, where in other parts of the Bible it seems that some practices are practiced? Well, regarding magic, there is strong mention, for example, of a certain god that we call Mammon. Mammon is a demon of greed, and he can be compared in substance to the ancient Greek god Zeus. Zeus, that is the god of opulence and the god of, in other words, abundance. Now, a lot of people are starting to feel ashamed because certain words like abundance, wealth, and certain others and certain others are being uttered, and people and more people are starting, they think, to be aware of repercussions of evoking such, again, words that say would not be represented in temples, or would not be the intention of the Most High God. And not all life is like on Psalm 23, where people are like sheep who live happily on a field. And life is life. And now, before people start banning certain words like esotericism, angels and demons and aliens and stuff like that, and all that, besides aliens being a spiritual reality for the Catholic Church as well, because the Pope recognized their existence, which is not necessarily holy, in the 1970s. Now, people like Stephen, people like Melissa, or people like other people, they are coming to the pulpit to speak to us about the possible dangers of calling upon angels, or hearing the voices of angels, or even laying distinct lines between what is an angel and what is a demon, and how come is an angel good and why it isn't good at the same time, and what we should do in order to be just. So, and all of this, the law of attraction and angel tarot, all of these things are not the dominion of the king of hell, say Satan, and it all changes. It depends on what you're doing. And in the Bible, God makes a clear difference himself between a practice that is clearly of the left-hand path and clearly of the right-hand path. And he does so when he speaks to the Jews, and he talks to them, and he says that you offer a white goat to Yahweh, that is him, and a black goat to Azazel, that is the demon, one of the demons of the Ars Goetia. And so one white goat and one black goat. So it seems plausible, at least, that when people call upon Archangel Michael, then they get Archangel Michael, and when people call upon Lucifer, they get Lucifer. And there isn't another way of really looking at this. When you call upon a certain name, is that certain name. Another thing is when, say, the god Amon, who is a demon, then he appears onto you and he says that you want to give up on your girlfriend because there is a guy that's attractive for you. And homosexuality in your case, whereas in a lot of churches and a lot of temples have found books saying that in the ancient doctrine of Israel, example, Adam is seen as both male and female. So Eve is seen as both male and female. So this topic of homosexuality really should be addressed in a more in-tuned and a vocal way, rather than just hinting and just provoking. or without leaving room for a reply. Because a lot of these people are insecure, and a lot of these people who put labels on other people that do not know what they're doing. So, and now again, there seems to be the reference to these people who are coming with their best dress to their local church, and they are speaking from the highest pulpit, and they are those false prophets that God speaks of in the Bible, and such as Melissa, or people that she contributed to, or I'm seeing other people as well that are coming to say that, like Stephen says, that we should not talk to angels, and this is they're giving us a series of no, and a series of denials, and a series of renunciations that we should perform in order to oblige them, and in order to pay homage to them and whatnot, and in order for us to give up on things that we used to believe in. Now, if a person is drawn to magic, a person is drawn to a certain practice rather than a certain other practice. So if a person is drawn to, say, black magic, then a person performs black magic. Example, praying to the old god Balcarz, who is a prince, considered such in ancient times. And he can example a sure victory in a certain matter. This practice will not necessarily burn your soul forever in hell, but it's per se a practice that God does not permit or does not prefer, because every person is different, and King Solomon used to evoke demons, but his faith in God was so strong, and so on and so forth. Difficult topic. And that at a certain point he was made prophet, or still he's considered a holy man, and very much of one of the founders with Saul, David, and etc. of the Jewish faith, religion, and spirituality, because such thing as a Jewish spirituality exists. In Kabbalah, there is also the use of, besides knowledge of the all, also knowledge and practice of magic. Whoever says that Kabbalah isn't related to magic, then perhaps should die, because this is not so. So why is it so then that a lot of people are telling us that we should or shouldn't do certain things because such or such person said or said no? Then a ritual to Archangel Michael, we should understand, it doesn't involve the same energies of a prayer to that demon or archdemon that we mentioned, Balcarz. It's a completely different thing. People who slit the throat of a black goat, evoking the names Infernal, it's not the same setting of someone practicing chastity and asking Mother Mary in a certain type of small, simplistic, even if you will, ritual, that quality of chastity that I was mentioning. And it's not the same. It's not the same thing. Everything is different. So it's like saying that God forbade to eat apples, and God didn't forbid to eat apples, or God didn't forbid to eat fruit in general, but just that fruit at that time, at that moment, that person. And the fruit has been eaten already, and there isn't another fruit. And the same temptation that Eve had isn't the same today. Although it's true that one of the rhetorics of the Antichrist, or one of the sayings of Satan, is that he wants you to believe you are like God. But this needs to be understood better, because Lucifer makes you believe you are like God solely in the way that he wants you to be able to not see what is a sin and what isn't. So people are not polite, or they are not trustworthy, they're not obedient to God, and they are not trusted. And therefore these people aren't the Antichrist, but these people aren't it certainly matters to be a true Christian, but it doesn't matter as much as to advocate the God-given right to be that one can never be, just by denying that quality to everybody. So just because people were virtuous and were let down, or just because people are not thankful for their life and whatnot, it doesn't mean that you cannot believe. So belief is very important, and it's very important to you to know what is the line that creates a difference between the world of imagination, that is the world of modern society, where people matter because they hang out on a Saturday night, or because they have a contract, or because they dress in a certain way, or because they live in a material world. And this is not the true world. This is the world of those people that are deluded, and those people who are disappointed, and those people who lost hope. And those people who lost hope may never require it without faith. So and these same people who live a material life without gusto or elegance or style now are going to their drawers and nightstands to see if there is the immaculate copy of the Bible that they left behind. And if at some point, because they love life less, or because they stop calling upon angels, or because they don't have a contract with a house anymore, or because they etc., 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 and they wonder if all in a sudden, just because of a former ritual of baptism or magical ritual, they have understood all that is God. But they haven't, because I haven't either, and I have much more experience than all of you watching together. But this is not for you to be without hope again, or without the temptation of discovering who is God, because that's also a desire that people have, and through Kabbalah and through other esoteric writings, and through another look into the Bible. There is the Zohar, that is a huge commentary on the Torah and more, and much more than that also. And people now are even starting, like Melissa, starting to argue about if she decides that people can accept books that are coming from channeled material, meaning people like there were saints who have done this, people who talking to Mary and Jesus. In France, example, in Lourdes, there was a famous saint who spoke to Mary and no one believed her. And now Melissa is here to say from the highest pulpit who can be trusted and who cannot be trusted. For she, an illiterate lesbian, she now understands everything about theologies because she, hangs out with a polyamory. Or it's not enough to foresee what is the defeat of your enemy. It also has to be your enemy. But people cannot distinguish at these times in history an enemy from a friend, because enemies cannot be fought according to some theories, because God takes all these burdens upon himself if you just attend church and read the Bible. And people are not even thinking that it is possible to understand what the Bible teaches. They read and they take it for what it says at certain points where it is convenient for them and where they think that they've heard themselves up to the level that it takes for Jesus to save them. But Jesus saves the people that are not masochistics. Jesus doesn't save people that are naive, like you, or people that are without hope, or even those people who like aesthetics and that are not truly optimistic. This is not a message that was thrown out there that can be considered optimistic and that can be considered a true message. Because indeed a message that is true resonates with logic and resonates not with the scripture that is, like a Kabbalist would say, an imitation of your desire. These are imitations of their desires to know God, that Jesus will go to them and speak to them as a friend, and they were never friend to him, and therefore he was never friend to them, or friendly, if you will. And they do not understand the Zohar when it says the splendor of Michael is to defend God practically, and the way that you, not the way that you behave, because this is not an etiquette, or Jesus isn't good manners, but he is one of the faces of the law. And to them it is enough to sit properly and speak blasphemy and say that Mary cannot be prayed to and only God matters. And this is true, but it's like saying that all friends are good friends. You have to differentiate what you mean when you say only God matters, and if you have understood what is God or who is God. And you cannot objectify God to your desire. And these, in truth, are the false prophets of the new era. And these are the false prophets that in a lot of books they were mentioned. And we can be saved from these people of awful faith that have no true desire to instruct us, no true desire to believe in us, and no true desire to defend those people who trust in God. Now, when Lucifer deceives people, he doesn't go to them and openly says, I am an angel of light named Raphael. He cannot steal Melissa or others. He cannot steal the names that are holy and used to his favor. He probably cannot even I'm thinking of the name of Mary, but he probably cannot even pronounce those names, and if he could, he certainly wouldn't be taken for one of them angels that are on those walls of churches that have a certain appearance that is so utterly different from the appearance of you or the appearance of a demon. This is so clearly shown in, say, example, all those paintings depicting Archangel Michael in the battle in heaven, where Lucifer is a body with lust and certain characteristics he shares with other demons that are sinful, and the angels are much more of the light. But yes, Lucifer at times, even daily, can deceive you and pretend that he is an angel of light, pure. And he doesn't say that he is an angel, and he can play pretend, and he can say that he is perfect, or that he is very good with you at a certain time. He will certainly punctualize that is for that occasion, that is very good to you. And one last bit could be that Lucifer might say to you that he makes a promise, and this promise is not sacred but solemn, so it's of the highest regard and importance to you. And all these tricks that make you believe that he's trustworthy, this is something that people like Melissa do not, or Stephen or others do not consider. And once you choose your path, you have to be on your path. And you cannot be on the path that you don't know to be a path. Because Jesus is also about commitment. Such commitment means that you heal people, that you pray for people, that you believe in God, and especially that you, like in Kabbalah, that part that's called understanding, that you understand true divinity from another divinity that is divine but not of God, if you know what I'm saying. So a lot of people speaking about the New Age like it's a problem, where in the New Age there's a lot of people, like, if you want to call her that, Diana Cooper, who are well informed, Tim Wilde, about certain universal matters and certain things regarding angels and more. And certain people aren't so well informed, but like with every literature, there is good authors and there aren't. Among these good authors, authors that can be criticized or even frowned upon by someone who's almost illiterate and ignorant and really doesn't know what he's saying. So I'm thinking, why would a person like Stephen then hang out with people that do not any longer pray to angels and stuff like that, and then he would write a book about angels? And on which grounds would anyone, why would you go to Stephen for? To know that only God matters, and because he has understood in his presumed experience that now he knows that everything in the New Age is of the devil. Now there is so much in the esoteric and occult and magic world that really the New Age hasn't touched, and some parts of the New Age, I guess, that you could rely on, and some parts of the New Age, I guess, that you better not rely on. But especially none of the New Age is ever of the devil per se, just because it speaks about outer space, angels, and things that sometimes were referred at with a certain vaguity and a certain ignorance, but most times have been quite competent. And people who turn their back on this, I don't believe that Ouija boards and talismans and everything that's connected to energy is evil. And everything is a tool that an intelligent person uses for one end or another. So people that had abortions, divorce, and stuff like that, all in a sudden start preaching the gospel by condemning other people because they think that they are in the wrong because they are believing false theories. But these people do not have even an understanding of what is the voice of God, what is the voice of Jesus, and what is the voice of an angel, of your guardian angel, because they think that you cannot pray to them, where even the Pope in Rome today speaks of not that it is the latest sensation, but speak to your guardian angel. And people do not speak to their guardian angel anymore because such and such doctor or Melissa Dougherty, the Irish teenager, and or who else, they speak of things that they don't have, they lack intelligence for speaking of. And this is not wheat. This is not you know. And it would be easy to tell these women where to go and to identify them for the adulterers that they are, whether it's Stephen or Melissa or who else. And or a lonely woman who speaks about God being lonely, being alone, or being with a husband never loved, and perhaps not even the first. And these women who are alone without a partner, who all of a sudden, without the help of angels and being disconnected from them, that's even a part of, if you read it, when one makes a pact with the devil, one ceases to, you know, connect to these energies. And then all these women or people who are without a partner, that are lonely, that are without ambition, and they speak of God because they're not loyal. They're not loyal to Him. They're not loyal to Him. And one of the things that they speak about is God. And this is clearly, you know, their favorite sin, lust. And so all these people really who are standing against the New Age movement, if you want to call it a movement, and for however superficial at times, and definitely not what I'm following, but I would spend more time being a loyal wife, Melissa, if you have a husband and if you're fertile, which I don't think you are. And I would spend more time, Stephen, praying and understanding, rather than writing books when you don't have hands to write, because you don't connect to angels. And angels, like it was said, are part of God, and one cannot say, the only wrong in this would be considering an angel as being above God rationally, and that would become an idol, like, again, the prince Balberit or Beelzebub or Astaroth, considering these fallen angels as, you know, being higher than the crown. And if you want to do so, you're more than welcome. But even the gods don't believe that this is literally true. So these illiterate people who are grasping with great fatigue and effort these truths that are transcendental, and they, because illiterate, deal so much with the literal meaning, then it certainly has to be wrong. So I want to thank you for listening, and do not worry as much for what is right and what is wrong. Follow what is your idea. Follow what is your idea, and not everything is wrong. And automatically you will find a way, and God will come and will tell you how to perfect yourself then. But people like Melissa or Stephen who in a way or another do not prove to be loyal partners to anyone, and they're kind of undecisive even in their personal life. And these prostitutes and these lustful people will speak about God and speak about what you can and cannot do when they can have everyone and do everything, certainly are wrong. So don't be slothful, don't be superficial, and know that God deserves hard work and hard study. And certainly there is God, and certainly there is Satan, but it's not all there. The church isn't all about fighting the devil. These people, I don't even think that they could, if they don't pray to Michael, I don't even think that they could deliver a soul from the devil. So if you choose an approach that's more evangelical and doesn't deal with the more esoteric or deeper approach, because you are inferior, in fact, that is permissible, and I recommend that to most people. But some people do not fit into that category. However, if you are of that level, that you are for rods simple with your family and stable, it doesn't mean that you do not believe or you do not give a right to people who have a much subtler mind to get closer to the mysteries of God, as many angels know them. So I want to thank you for watching once more, and I wish we see it's daybreak. And again, goodbye and have a nice day or nice night or whatever. Do not spend this year and this time condemning, but enjoy the thought of the future, that for the part of humankind that does not condemn superficially a theory, because a theory is not only a theory, but it's a theory and a fact. And theories that are only theories and cannot be proven are indeed theories of those people who've lost. Some of these people, like Melissa, have lost their soul. Some other people haven't. Some people are thinking about it, but when these people come on a Sunday morning with the nicest dress in a church to speak about sudden change, about what was right in the past and no longer is right, these people truly are against enthusiasm. And people who are without enthusiasm, without beauty like you, or without splendor, and without a comparative method, really they are best avoiding. So try to avoid these people and study everything that is esoteric and practice, if it's for you to practice these things that for most people are hidden, and perhaps some people shouldn't, or it's not their time, or they shouldn't as much. Try to be more neutral in your judgment and in your word, and try to be less provocative and less arrogant, and then perhaps you see that you'll see that there's people who were with God from the beginning, and they haven't really taken your t-shirt for a moniker of truth. So just because you've read on the Bible that the sons of God wear a red t-shirt now, it doesn't mean that wearing a red t-shirt then it makes you a daughter of the Most High. It doesn't mean that it makes you who you are. And I want to thank these people for the contribution that they gave in a sense or another. God is truly everything that you ask of him becomes true. Like Jesus said, ask and you will receive, knock and it will be open unto you. But those things that if you are pure, God replies and he answers your prayers. And when something cannot be made by God, and it's a wish that say it's for the devil, it's when it doesn't give you the highest benefit right now. But many things the devil doesn't agree on either, because he has his own peculiarities and his own preferences. He's not Santa Claus, and he's not someone who's willing to give everyone everything just because they left God. So do not take superficiality as your slogan today, and be more neutral in your judgment towards homosexuals, magicians, and all those people who've made history, and especially do not judge God for creating people in their own way, because that is his most cherished quality and memory, if you will. So, goodbye. Have a nice day. Have a good one. Have a good one. Have a good one, y'all.